this? I don't know. It's me. It's Amid the Ruins. It's a guy who makes Dyer wave music. It's Amid the Ruins. Dyer wave music. What I've talked about in, probably 100 articles at Jay's Analysis is the implementation of the AI smart grid and the giant smart cities, which is what IBM talks about publicly building. And that's where we're going, and that's what I think we have to be really concerned about. So all of these tensions, they are part of a long-term strategy to basically get everybody moved into mega cities. They'll be forced off of land and so forth for environmental reasons, and basically concocted and invented environmental nonsense. Then you'll be stuck in some hellhole mega city in a, basically a carton size. Hydroxychloroquine. Nubian princess ghetto queen. Hydroxychloroquine. Do you know where your kids are? It's Halloween. Ghetto star. World star hip hop. Better watch out where your kids are. Practice safe. Cavity cleansing. Practice safe. Door to door. Candy hijacking. Do you know where your kids are out? Put down them candy bags. Put down them riot bags. Wait. Put down the riot gear. And it's time to go pick up some candy gear, son. All my kids out there trying to start riots. Where you at? Put down that riot gear, son. Remember what it was like to go trick-or-treating, son? You remember what it was like to be a kid going trick-or-treating? It's 90s hip-hop positive vibes up in here, son. My boy, Jay Timberlake, you think he went rioting? Nah, son, put down that riot gear and pick up that pillowcase, dog. It's time to go door to door and grab some candy, son. You know what I'm saying? She's trying to make it dark in here. She's trying to make it scary in here. How are we going to get no trick-or-treaters if you make it all scary in here?
Is that too dark?
Nah, son. I don't know. It's pretty damn dark.
Let's see.
You're going to scare the kids. Kids are going to be like, yo, I'm not going up in that place. It's too dark.
What's that?
It's too dark up in there. It's too many. If you want us to be washed out, pale-faced,
That's what I'm trying to
crackheads,
avoid.
tweakers. All my tweakers in the house.
That's better.
All my tweakers in the house. Say, yeah! Yeah!
Yeah.
Yeah! Yeah!
Are you on?
I'm on something.
What are you on? Is this
I'm
live?
on espresso, dog.
Oh.
We're always on.
Are you on?
It's never off. It's never off up in here. Practice safe. Practice safe door-to-door exercises, y'all. Remember, when you see a creepy house, don't go to it. Don't take candy from the creepy house. Because it's got razor blades in the apples. If you see an apple and it's already got a bite out of it, don't eat it, son. We're doing 90s positive messages for going door-to-door trick-or-treating.
Oh, yeah. Don't talk to strangers.
Don't talk to strangers. That's all you got, son?
Remember when they would say...
Don't go door to door in the village of the damned. Don't go door to door where there's clowns.
Like, they would put drugs in the candy.
That's what I'm talking about.
I know. Like,
If you see a razor blade in an apple, don't eat it, son. If you see a tweaker's needle in an apple, don't eat it. Don't take candy from tweakers, dog. Don't take crack from... Don't take crack from... Don't take... You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Don't get lost in taking gibblers, tweezers, uppers, poppers, downers, geekers, slappers, knockers, floofers. Watch out for those knockers. Which Village of the Danged first.
Yeah.
Welcome, everybody. Happy Spooktober. We don't celebrate Halloween around here because we're Jehovah's Witnesses.
I know.
When we go door to door, it's to tell you about the Watchtower tracks that we have.
Halloween sucks, man. Don't you think?
Yes, it does.
Anton LaVey said that he loves Halloween.
Yeah, tell us about this. A lot of people don't know this. Why did Mr. LaVey like Halloween?
Because it's an actual occultic holiday. I guess according to the Church of Satan, there's 3 holidays that are their main. Halloween and Walpurgis Night, which is May 1st. And your own
So there's what? Bat Day?
Yeah.
And there's
Walpurgis.
Witch Night.
Yeah.
And then what's the third one?
Your own birthday.
Okay.
Everyone's own birthday is there. But he said that he loves it because at least children get to worship the devil one night a year.
So there you go.
Yeah.
We don't want no part of that, son.
I mean, there's like thousands of YouTubes about the history of Halloween and how much it sucks. Sawween.
We need to pray stupid. Just to make it today. I said we pray. Pray.
What's worse?
We need to pray just to make it today.
The worst thing is like when churches have their fall festival thing.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
And the kids come in their Halloween costumes anyway.
We need to set up a Christian version of Halloween, dog. Where everybody could come and listen to MC Hammer, kid.
Can you write a Christian rap song about the evil?
Yo, we got Christian candy at ours. Yo, if you come down the altar and pray the sinner's prayer, yo, I'll give you a Werther's, kid.
What's the worst
I hand
candy?
out Werther's and save souls, boy.
What's the worst candy of all?
Yeah, boy. The worst?
Yeah.
Those orange slices with sugar on top.
No.
Yes, they
those
are.
Good.
No,
the worst candy is those foam peanut things.
You got the damn beatus in you.
Those orange peach foam
those
peanut.
Come with those
circus
stupid,
peanuts.
Yeah, they come with those stupid orange things.
Jelly orange slices with sugar are good.
Yeah, boy. If you want to support us, you can by the super chats. Tonight we're going to cover horror movies. Some of the ones that we haven't got to yet. We got to do Village of the Danged with Kirstie Alley. Remember Kirstie Alley from Churs? Your girl Kirstie Alley from Churs. And that boy Superman. What was his name?
Christopher Reeve.
The one that rolled around really fast in that little chair. He can roll faster than anybody, dude.
Are you gonna do the whole show as Lil Queasy?
I'm not. I'm positive 90s hip hop vibe. That's my actual name. Yo, what's your name? My name's Positive 90s Hip Hop Vibe, son.
Yeah.
I'm here to spread positive vibes on Halloween, boy. And then, what were we talking about? Village of the Dang. Village of the Dang, boy. Aliens Fall. We had the Fallen Aliens theme. Mm-hmm. Another John Carpenter classic. And then we see the aliens flying in a sort of demonic flight.
Yeah.
Remember?
You get alien
and they whisper, they mutter.
And they whisper things, yes. And
right.
They descend upon this town, which we will find out this isn't the first time this has happened.
What, in this movie?
No, in
what do you
this universe, this is not the first town that this has happened to. We find that out later in the movie.
I forgot that.
It happened to multiple places.
Oh, so the aliens are experimenting on us humans, right? Mm-hmm. This is not a scary movie. It's funny.
Yeah.
It's 1995 John Carpenter movie. But it is revelatory because there's a secret breeding program. And remember, as you know from the inexhaustible insights of Jay's analysis, the aliens represent the elite. They represent the scientific elite, the illuminist elite, because they have the same mindset. We're going to experiment on all you low IQ creatures, and you're never going to notice it. And we'll even tell you in the movies that we are the elite aliens, and the aliens behave just like the elite, right?
Oh yes, that's so true. And this is the movie where you made the point that the elite are aliens. Like anytime you see aliens in a movie.
Remember Cowboys and Aliens?
I didn't see.
Who are the aliens after?
I didn't see that.
They're after gold.
Oh.
They want to kill everybody, experiment on everybody, and steal the gold. Mm. Aliens are always experimenting, doing the butt stuff, gross things. Mm-hmm. There you go.
So the whole town faints.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
So basically, they put everybody out through some unknown technology. I don't know what, like the high priest with a rope. What does this mean?
Mark Hamill was the priest.
Oh yeah, Luke Skywalker was the priest.
Yeah.
And he's basically ineffectual. He loses it, right? So basically, the mainline Protestant soy religion is completely ineffectual against the alien onslaught, the illuminist elite alien power structure. He totally capitulates, he loses his mind, and he's going to try to snipe them. Not going to work. You can't snipe these aliens, right? Then what happens? See, so Christopher Reeve, remember him? What's his role? He's a doctor. Or is he the psychiatrist?
He's the doctor. He's the town doctor.
And Kirstie Alley. Oh, yeah. She's the government National Science Foundation woman who's there to study the phenomenon. That's right.
Yeah.
And there's they figure out that there's a secret breeding program. And simultaneously, it's like X-Files. The government has its own breeding study program that they're trying to figure out what's going on and why these women have been impregnated. Mm-hmm. Right. So the aliens are always up to the hump and stuff, the coitus, and experimenting with fetuses.
Well,
that's what they're always up to.
They
mimic a virgin birth.
Yeah, they supernaturally impregnated, and so they were all virgin births. And because that one girl, she'd never even done it before.
It will come up many times tonight.
Yeah.
In multiple senses, nuanced. Doing it.
And she got pregnant.
So then we see that really what's going on is that the alien elite have a breeding program to genetically modify children. This reminded me of Scanners. Remember Scanners? Mm-hmm. Scanners is a better film than this film, but same idea, although in Scanners it wasn't aliens, it was just government programs. Same idea here. The offspring have the ability to do telekinesis. They have glowing green eyes. I'm not sure what that signifies. I mean, if you remember in Big Trouble in Little China, he made green eyes somehow significant with the two girls, Kim Cattrall and Mao Ying. Remember?
It has glowing eyes too.
Green?
Like orange.
I don't know, but what's the point? I have no. What's the significance of green eyes? Do you know?
I don't know.
Is there an esoteric symbol that you could point out for the green? What's the color magic meaning of green?
I don't know. That's what animals' eyes look like in the dark, I guess.
They're little Jordan B. Petersons because their thoughts are too deep for words. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
When they're explaining themselves, they're like, "We cannot speak to you. Our thoughts are too deep for words. You would never comprehend our thoughts."
Yeah.
That's an actual Jordan B. Peterson quote. He has sometimes I have thoughts that are too deep for words. There's not words invented yet. So he's got thoughts beyond our capacity for language to express. So.
Well, what's the thing they have?
Oh, the other funny line is, "What is empathy?"
Yeah, they have no empathy.
What is empathy?
And they're killers from the time they're babies. And
so basically, they've experimented on children to create non-empathy having super high IQ spurgs.
Psycho baby. Oh yeah.
They're baby spurgs. They're little baby spurgs. As I've been saying.
Except the one that lost his mate.
They're autistic spurgs from space. Spurgs in space. Space spurgs. Space spurgs. They are a Borg. They have a hive mind, which is not a spurg category. By the way, you can't flag me for that because I could just say I'm part spurg.
Yeah.
Boy! Right? The eye is interesting. The eye plays a key role in this film, and it specifically cites Proverbs. The eye is the window to the soul. So we constantly see into their eyes. Their eyes are mind-controlling people. I don't know what else to say. Well, the eye also holds the genetic structure, right? You can do a retinal scan and that comes up in a lot of sci-fi movies, right? The eye shows you not just the window to the soul, but also the person's genetic makeup, and so you'll see the eye having multiple layers and symbolic significances. The eye in one scene of the child when she's at the eye doctor morphs, and she basically, I forget how does she kill the eye doctor? Do you remember?
She makes her put the acid drops in her eye or something, some kind of poison.
Right. Do you remember? Oh yeah. And there's that. Yes, she makes her forces her to do her eye drops.
And it's funny, none of the adults in the town will go against the kids because they're their parents.
Right.
Right. So they can't punish them, or the kids will kill them. So
it's Crowleyan because it's the Aeon. It's the Aeon of the Crown and Conquering Child, and if you remember, there was an obvious Crowleyan theme to Big Trouble in Little China. Lo Pan, Yo Pan, Lo Pan. Now, the Spurgs from space is not the only interesting element in this. There's a line where Kirstie Alley, as the scientist from the National Science Foundation, says, "No, it's is it her or Christopher Reeve that says the CIA experimented on the genetic effects of LSD?"
Oh, yeah.
I wrote the line down. It's one of the two that says it. And they were talking about creating super GMO sperm.
Well, that's why she took the fetus that didn't make it.
But I just thought that was an interesting reference that, yes, the CIA has seen what LSD does to the genome.
Right.
And then it mentions xenogenesis, which is an alien birth, and parthenogenesis, which is impregnation without a father. So here you have elite plans all coming to the fore in this goofy John Carpenter movie. It's basically kind of, and by the way, that plastic alien baby looks just like the X-Files fetus.
It does.
It's the Erlenmeyer flask from season 1. The other interesting thing was that supposedly evolution, this is funny, but have you noticed how oftentimes they characterize the more evolved being as Nietzschean? We are beyond your morals. We have no morals. Mm-hmm. We do not understand empathy, right? As if that's really how you would have the next stage of evolution.
Feelings of empathy are some kind of vestigial,
you can't have
thing.
A social order with no empathy.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. Anyway, so how did it end? They basically blew them. They had to trick them. Right? Yeah. And so Christopher Reeve has a mind wall that they couldn't see through. Remember that? Mm-hmm. And they end up tricking them and blowing them up. And then is that it? Nothing else happens? Do you remember?
No, it's pretty straightforward.
But I mean, it does have a conspirafoil plot, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. Welcome, everybody. We have 230 nerds on this wonderful blue moon Spooktober night. We don't celebrate Halloween. It's Halloween!
It even sounds stupid. Sawween. Supposed to be the day that the veil between us and the spirit world is the thinnest.
You said that, yeah. I remember you said that last year when we did one of these. Mm-hmm. You said it was... We said something about it being for Coomers. Coomerween. Coomerween. I don't know.
They would... What would they do? Put out goodies for your departed loved ones because they are going to visit you tonight. You ever hear that? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Half the chat are not mods. We just have very active mods. And by the way, somebody made that joke a long time ago too. It's the eternal return joke. It's the night of eternal return. It's the joke of eternal return. Mm-hmm. So next we're going to do the Fly, and we're doing the David Cronenberg Fly, not the old 50s Fly. What is this, 86-ish, I think?
Yeah. This is one I had on VHS as a kid, so I've seen it like 100 times.
And this is how you developed your Beelzebloom fetish.
Like, you know when you were a kid, growing up, you had like maybe 15 movies, 20 movies.
All of our audience knows because they're people our age.
And you have to watch these things because there's nothing else to watch.
The Zumbas.
So I've seen the Fly.
Zumbas don't know what VHS are.
So many times, but it was so good this time because I forgot how ooey and gooey it was. And when I was a kid, I watched it with no problem. Like, yeah, but this time I had to turn away because it was so gross. Why am I getting more sensitive?
Hold on, I gotta sneeze.
Let's see.
All right, so here there's obviously a play on Kafka, right? Metamorphosis is the basis of this science fiction. That's an existentialist work. This is a science fiction existentialist work. And once again, we have the theme of genetic modification.
The theme of genetic modification. The fly. The fly has the ability to become something very gooey. I can release an enzyme known as puke.
Yes.
So that's my Jeff Goldblum. Beelzebloom. Yeah.
Jeff Goldblum was a perfect casting for this.
Yes.
Don't you think?
He has large eyes.
Yeah, because he already looks kind of buggy. But I like how the movie just starts out right in the middle of their conversation.
It's him spitting game, dude.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Come back to my place and look at my pods.
Jeff,
my teleportation pods, baby.
Jeff spits game at Gina Davis and is like, come look at my pods.
Yeah.
Come back to my place and see my pods. Mm-hmm. And it works.
Yeah.
She goes. His game works. He spits game. It works. And he impresses her with transporting her pantyhose from one pod to the other. Mm-hmm. What was those eggs that you get in the grocery store?
Legs.
Legs.
Eggs.
My mom used to buy legs.
Yeah.
It was pantyhose at the grocery store and an egg.
Those are the worst because they're like disposable, one-time wear. They rip on anything, even your little fingernail, like they'll rip. I was always late to church every Sunday because I had to run in the grocery store and buy pantyhose. Jeff
Goldblum could just teleport you some pantyhose, some legs from 1986 to your church. So his motivation for this ridiculous invention is motion sickness. Dude can't ride a tricycle without getting motion sick.
Because he's a nerd. Nerds can't take the world.
He works for a science foundation that will fund him and doesn't really pay attention to what work he does, which is bizarre. Gina Davis, which makes no sense, is a journalist for Particle magazine.
I think in the second one it gets into more of the Bartok industry conspiracy and how they're like trying to work on genetic experiments and stuff like that.
But I'm sorry, Gina Davis in tight leather mini skirts is 7 foot tall redhead is not going to be the journalist for Particle magazine.
I didn't like her leather outfit, the leather jacket and the leather skirt.
I don't think Particle magazine in 1986 had any female journalists.
No. Is there a Particle magazine?
I don't know. But in this,
it's more like,
but in this universe, Particle magazine has like this suave penthouse like at the top of this, tower. I just thought that was absurd. Like, how many people are really reading Particle magazine? And then, so anyway, his first experiment is to basically reverse a baboon, and he gets turned out. Mm-hmm. That bitch got turned out. He got pimped the heck out by that pod and got turned out by Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah.
I mean, literally got turned out. And he still eeks, even though, how can you eek
if your vocal cords
are on the outside? You can't do it. And basically cooked.
Do you notice he wears the same clothes like Einstein?
Yes, he says he's like Einstein and he just wears all the same wardrobe. I don't know what that was supposed to. I think he just represents the mad scientist, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, this is a mad scientist tale.
Yeah.
Very relevant for today with what all's going on with a certain Mr. Gil Bates. Very relevant for that. We get the recurring David Cronenberg theme of the flesh being weird and strange, and the Gnostic idea of the flesh making you crazy. Mm. And this is what you see in Videodrome, right? The flesh is the way to hail the new flesh, right?
Long live the new flesh, he says.
Long live the new flesh. We did a whole analysis of Scanners, Videodrome. You can go watch that. Where are we at? Okay, so when he starts to transform, he thinks, genetic modification. He doesn't realize there's a fly in the pod, by the way, right? Which is why I always tell you, close the damn door. The flies are coming in.
Yeah.
Do you want me to become Brundlefly? Do you want a Brundlefly man?
I want
spitting his enzymes on you.
J-Moth. Oh yeah.
Mothman prophecies.
Yeah.
So he tries to transport himself. Of course, he gets obsessed like every mad scientist Spurg, and it doesn't work, and he begins to grow hairs like a fly.
But this is where he starts to get spiritual about his science, because he thinks he thinks that he's been purified by going through the pods, by being transported.
Oh, does he speak that way? I stepped out of the room for a second.
So he starts to spurg out about.
What does he think? What does he mean by purified?
He develops like these superpowers.
Oh, he says born again.
Because like insects are so much stronger than their body weight and stuff.
Oh, so he says he's born again.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so now, science will be, right, the replacement religion. We'll have, we'll attain immortality through GMOs and all this stuff. What is this note you wrote about the plasma pool? What does that mean?
He's like going off, and he says he's seen the penetration beyond the veil of the flesh into the plasma pool.
Oh. Now this I missed.
Yeah.
So this is interesting again, given Cronenberg's Gnostic take on the flesh.
Yeah.
And the veil of the flesh, that's from Scripture, of course, from Hebrews. When the veil is rent, the veil is his flesh. And so Brundlefly thinks he's penetrated beyond the veil of the flesh to the. What does he mean by the plasma pool? Blood? What's he talking about?
Probably.
Or like the pool, like the genetic pool of all beings.
Yeah, like all pan.
Oh, okay.
Spermia or whatever, like.
Now, see, I missed that most
the
important.
goo
That was the most important part. I missed it.
The goo that we all evolved out of.
Right, and what he does is turn into basically a nasty, stank ass meth head tweaker.
He does. He starts getting sores on his face like a tweaker.
He becomes Lord of the Flies. Beelzebub.
Yeah, exactly.
Lord of the Flies.
You said this is the yuck movie of your childhood.
Mm-hmm. This is the ultimate yuck movie. Like, what movie is yuckier than this? Especially at the very end, when he figures out that the only way to get back to human is to go through the pods.
To repurify. Oh, and he wants to create a new symbiotic, three-headed family life form.
Yeah, because she finds out that she's pregnant.
Right, and he's
with his little maggot. He hated that part so much. And so she tries to get rid of it.
And this reminds me of the notion in like Alien, the Ridley Scott Alien, where is mankind just a mutation, right? Just an abortion of the universe. If you believe in evolutionary theory, then most of the time people who believe that theory would hold that man is just this chaotic, meaningless being produced from random chaotic chemical reactions and forces. And so man himself is an aberration of the universe. That's a kind of a Gnostic view as well. And so I think the film is asking the question, well, if there's mutations and if there's irregular forms of things, then if you're from the mad science perspective, everything is a mutation in an irregular form. There's not form. Form is something that man imposes onto things.
It's the plasma pool.
It doesn't exist in anything. Right, so you have this plasma pool that chaos forms into forms. So there's not really forms. I don't believe that, but I'm saying that if you have that worldview, then movies like The Fly actually are instructive. They're illustrative, just like Alien or Aliens, to show you the meaningless, nihilistic nothingness of man himself in this universe. So man has no meaning, you see. I'm not saying that that's the case. I'm saying that if the universe is a product of pure chaos and chance, then we're all just Brundlefly, dude. That's what I'm saying. I am you as you are me, and we are Brundlefly together.
And he's taking on the torch of creating new species. That's where his mind takes him.
Right. He thinks that since it's all just whatever, what is.
He's the next step in evolution.
Then you can just create.
Chimeras.
Well, this is Bertrand Russell's view. This is John C. Lilly's view. This is H.G. Wells's view, is that the priest class, Salk's view, the priest class of science can step up and cause the next phase of evolution, which is just mutations anyway.
Yeah. So this movie...
So it's a great movie. I mean,
it's really good. It's a GMO
good.
movie. It's a genetic manipulation movie. It's the yuckiest movie Hardly I've ever seen.
Again, I'm more and more impressed with the David Cronenberg movies over time. Even though I don't share his Gnostic worldview, his movies are very insightful for, if this is the type of world that we're in, then this is the logical conclusion. Mm-hmm. So, he's great at that type of horror.
One day I would like to watch the old one to see what they were saying.
Yeah, with Vincent Price, right?
Yeah.
So we got a couple more here. And by the way, thank you for those super chats. We'll read those in just a moment. We got 283 nerds. Everybody, if you would, please hit like and share and support us through those precious super chats.
I'm glad you're here instead of out
collecting cavities, dog. Yo, cavities, collect all 20.
What's the best candy?
I don't eat candy. I don't know.
When you were a child,
I'm a freaking carnivore
what would
keto,
you eat
dude.
first? Like when you had all the candies segregated, and then what would you go for first?
I would get rid of everything except for like the sour stuff.
I think
Like Warheads, Sour Patch Kids, that kind of stuff.
my favorite is Reese's Peanut Butter Cup. It's probably the best.
Okay. You're a normie. Confirmed. Confirmed normie.
Are we doing It Follows?
Now everybody's talking about candy in the...
Oh, Reese's, M&M's, Butterfingers? No. Mars bars are gross.
Don't read their comments unless they pay us money.
Oh, and
They do not deserve to be read unless
Milky
they pay
Way
us
is
money.
nasty. So just throw away the Milky Ways. And
Any of those bars are
and the
nasty, dude.
three
They're all
mon-
made by
no.
one giant GMO genetic monstrosity.
You don't know
corporation.
this
They're
when
all
you were
made
a
by
kid?
They're all made by Brundlefly, dude.
We drank Slurpees and ate Lickamades. And we grew up strong.
We didn't. That's why we have problems. That's why we have to eat carnivore
why my
diets
teeth
now.
hurt.
We have to eat carnivore diets because of frickin' who's the Willy Wonka, basically.
Remember Lickamades?
Do you remember in Willy Wonka what the plot is?
What?
He's throwing shoes and shit into the candy.
I know, and children.
Yeah.
And dead
So,
children are in the candy.
The point of Willy Wonka is that you're eating humans and shoes, dude.
I've said that forever. Willy Wonka is actually a horror movie.
I said that. I did an analysis of it 5 years ago.
Oh.
4 years ago.
Yeah.
Go watch my Willy Wonka analysis.
Necco wafers are gross. Yeah. Each nut.
Do not read their comments unless they pay you money.
Oh. Well, super chat, the grossest candy.
Oh, now that's all we'll do.
Remember Pixie Sticks? Yes.
Yo, I did a few pixie sticks in my day, dog.
What is that?
Did you know that? Did you know that in the final sequence of Scarface, that big pile is all pixie sticks?
Is it? Yeah.
And that Al Pacino was actually snorting the pixie sticks.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fun movie fact.
100 grand, gross. Crunch bar, flavorless.
You're just making up shit now. That's not real.
Yeah, Crunch
There's
bar.
no such thing as a crunch bar.
Yes,
A crunch bar.
it's blue, and it has the Rice Krispies in it.
Yeah, who made it? Acme.
You don't know what a Crunch bar?
Was it called Candy Bar? Is that the name of it? Is that real too?
Crunch bar.
That's not real.
Yes, it is.
There's no such thing as a crunch bar. I'm just trolling you, dude. You're so sorry.
I like talking
Oh,
about
obviously
candy.
there's a crunch bar, right?
What's that white one with the yellow wrapper, yellow and black wrapper? It was like a white taffy. It was kind of nasty. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Those cheap ones that come in yellow and black and
Yeah.
orange.
It's like flat and yellow and black wrapper, and inside of the white
It's just sugar,
taffy.
dude. You want some sugar for Halloween?
Yeah.
One time I played a prank. We really did this where the kids came to the door when I was in high school and we handed out oats. Hands of oats.
Yeah. Batteries.
No, just hands of oats.
Oh.
And they were all like, oh man, oats. And it wasn't even enclosed. It was just like dry, dusty oats. Let's do It Follows. This was has now sort of risen to the, what?
Abba Zaba. That's what I was thinking of. Thank you. Okay.
Don't read their comments unless they pay you money, dude.
Okay. You have to send money if we want to keep talking about candy.
It follows. It is a non sequitur. Mm-hmm. It therefore follows that this has risen to be now one of the highest rated horror movies. People love this movie. It's really good as a film. I think it is good for an independent horror movie. It's not exceedingly gross or disgusting. It has some interesting, creepy moments, and it's got some interesting literary influences. Right? There's multiple references to Dostoevsky, the Idiot. There's multiple references to other T.S. Eliot poem. And it's kind of an urban legend, basically. It's like an urban legend. Oh, if you do this, you'll get cursed, you know. If you turn around in the mirror 3 times and squeeze your left boob, then this thing will pop up and follow you for the rest of your life. This kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Which doesn't make sense, but yeah.
Well, it starts coming after you when you do it. So it's
right. Like all the horror movies, just like Cabin in the Woods, right? You get the satirizing of the... It's kind of like the 7 sins type of thing. When you engage in them, you are allowing yourself to be taken by the powers of darkness, basically.
Yeah, you're opening yourself
You're
up
consenting to the powers of darkness when you do XYZ.
Yeah.
And typically it's, in horror movies, sex, right? It's if you do it, right? Mm-hmm. It follows, right? It follows the it, right? Mm-hmm. I think there are references to other types of things. There are allusions to drug addiction. There are allusions to alcoholism. There are allusions to STDs in this movie. Mm-hmm. So it isn't one thing, but it's kind of like also all of these other things. It's also trauma, because we find out, I didn't realize this until this is my 3rd time watching this film, and I picked up on a lot of things I didn't watch. I also did read some, or didn't notice before, I read some analyses that pointed out a lot of details. But anyway, let's go back. So The Idiot, this is, of course, about a prince who appears to be an idiot, but actually is much smarter than you would think. I'm not sure how to relate that to the story, except that Jay, our protagonist girl, does perhaps end up being smarter than she appears. You think she's just kind of the dumb horror girl, right, who's killed or stalked or whatever in the horror sequence. Her name is, of course, a reference to Jamie Lee Curtis, Scream Queen type stuff. So you don't know what's going to happen, but then, of course, she is roped into this date with the guy, and she goes to see the movie Charade with Audrey Hepburn and Cary Grant, and that's also foreshadowing, because in Charade, many of the characters are not what they appear, right? Her husband, Cary Grant character, is not who he appears. And so, likewise, this entity has the ability to appear as different people. Mm-hmm. As your dad, it appears as her suicided dad at one point. It appears as her friend at one point. So it can be anything, which is kind of similar to it, right?
To Stephen King's It. Yeah, right. He's a shapeshifter too.
It also is reminiscent of the first in Buffy. Remember the first? Mm-hmm. It appears as your fear. Mm-hmm. Another couple interesting elements too is that the movie intentionally doesn't tell you the time frame. That's interesting. So you don't know if this is 80s, 70s, present day. It kind of is ambiguous on purpose to give it an off-putting feeling. The director talked about this in interviews, which I liked. And that's why you notice the hipster age people are watching movies that don't make sense. They
have old TVs.
1950s old TVs.
Yeah.
Nobody has a cell phone.
No.
Which is interesting.
You don't know what season it is.
The seasons are all mixed up, right? Yeah. One day Jay's swimming in the pool. The next day she's got this giant coat on.
Yeah.
And that's all intentional because something is off. This world is off on purpose. We don't see any adult role. The adults are basically pointless, useless, absentee. And partly that will tell us, as we know, that Jay's mom is an alcoholic, and presumably her dad killed himself because he's not around. Mm-hmm. And if you see him in the pictures, and then at one point it appears as her dad. Mm-hmm. There's a weird sequence where a ball hits her window after she's had her traumatic experience of the boyfriend passing it onto her, because it's an urban legend, you can pass it on to someone else. And so she's reflecting on this the next day after this traumatic event of being tied up and chased. And a ball hits her window, and she looks outside, and she doesn't see anybody there. She just sees the ball. The next day, there's the T.S. Eliot poem being read. Jamie, you don't spell poem that way. Mm-hmm. P-O-M-E.
It was dark.
Okay. I gotta do some editing here. P-O-E-N.
I've forgotten how to spell because of spell check.
No, because of freaking phones.
And it was really dark.
It's called The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock. And there's a line about the world being smushed into a ball. Just like the ball that hit her window. There's just weird sequences and references here. So there's these allusions to things in literature that are happening in the movie, which is interesting. But regardless, there's references to drugs when it comes to the boyfriend, because the boyfriend has pills at his hideout. So we start to think, well, maybe the it is, analogous to drug use. But then we see that he's got comic books spread all over the window. And you have to pay really close attention because you can see the faces of demons in the comic books. Mm-hmm. I didn't notice that until this, and it's really obvious too. It's not like speculating. Mm-hmm. I didn't notice that until this time, watching it through.
Oh, one thing I noticed was interesting was a couple times they talked about porn, finding porn and having...
Right, and so every time it appears, there's a reference to sex, drugs, or the mags, the dirty magazines.
Yeah.
And you'll notice nobody talks about internet.
Right. Oh, yeah, it was stuff. The old magazines.
It's all magazines. So,
which was a gateway for a lot of people.
But we don't know what time period this is because, again, it appears to be present day, but nobody has phones, which is interesting. So, and only the people who are haunted, by the way, can see the it, right? So you can't see it. So it's essentially like a demon. I mean, it works like a demonic type of thing. It sucks the life out of you. And one way that we know that it relates to trauma is because when it comes for the other boyfriend, right? So she ditches that first dude. She kind of meets up with a new guy who's kind of helping him out. The 70s rock band looking guy. The premise
is like, oh, you are it too, because...
Right, tag, you're it.
It gets passed to you, and you have to pass it to someone else before it kills you.
Right, but when she passes it to that Trans Am skanky dude, his mom comes for him, and do you remember she jumps on him?
Yeah, she kills him by humping.
No, but yeah, so it's like there's an analogy to abuse as well.
Yes.
Now it's not. It shows him dying, but basically it's not. It doesn't show literal incest or something like that, but it shows him dying. Mm-hmm. Yes, and I reminded you of Kesha's story of her haunted vagina. So Kesha claims that her vagina is haunted. Maybe she watched It Follows because there appears to be some haunted coochies up in this movie. And by the way, that poor nerdy guy, Paul, imagine being so beta that you can't get a girlfriend, you can't get any, when literally women have to give it away to not die.
Yeah.
That's pretty sad.
She'd rather die than sleep with
She'd rather die than give it up to Paul. But another interesting fact was that red always appears before it shows up, which is a common kind of trope. That's in Sixth Sense. Red is always present when you're in the spirit world. And she has a wine mom, and one of the monsters is her dad, and so we know that it's about trauma. It's a very well-made movie. It's a very not extremely deep, but
I always like the slow chase monsters. I
Yeah.
think they're creepier than the faster ones sometimes. So they did it really well. Like, it's slow, but it never stops. So
let's see. Do you want to do It or Cabin in the Woods?
let's do Cabin in the Woods first and then It. Because Cabin in the Woods, that's a new classic, right? Is it in here?
I think it comes up on people's. No, it's on my website.
Oh. Because Cabin in the Woods kind of encapsulates all of the horror movies.
Yeah, it's satire.
Yeah. With a twist, though. Because, well, you've probably seen it.
Yeah, I've seen it. I wrote an analysis of it.
They've probably seen it.
Oh. So, by the way, Joss Whedon, before he was completely sort of whatever he is now, he has made some decent films, right? I mean, Firefly was good. This was good. And I read this kind of like, I read it as really an elite type of thing. Like, there's underground bases of elite controllers, the puppet masters, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And they really worship something akin to, a Titan or some sort of ancient old one. It's a Lovecraft type of thing.
They have to appease him.
Right. And so they have to find the willing, witting sacrifices. And so we get the archetypes of the horror characters here with the pothead, the jock, the dumb blonde, the innocent,
The nerdy girl.
the innocent goody girl.
Yeah.
The old geezer
The smart guy.
and the nerd.
Oh, this movie had my favorite trope in a horror movie, which is the last stop gas station.
That's what I said, the old geezer.
Yeah. So it's like the gas station that you pull over and they tell you don't go any further or you're... And the people always keep going.
Yeah. So 5 central horror archetypes here: the virgin, the fool, the pothead, the jock, dumb blonde, the nerd, and then we get this underground base where there's a continuity of government-style agency, something like a super NSA, that basically has created a synthetic environment to lure in unwitting / witting sacrificial victims. And this turns out to be a cabin in the woods, much like the Evil Dead cabin. Right? So it's like the cabin from Army of Darkness.
The movie never explained for me, though. One of the characters said, "This is my cousin's place," and brought them all there.
Well, that would suggest that there's a family member who's connected.
But he ends up dying.
Who?
The guy that brought them there. I think it was the Hemsworth guy.
Yeah, but he says his cousin had the cabin.
Right. Oh, okay. So, yeah. So the family
The cousin
member...
is connected, right?
Okay.
And he's like the football jock or whatever. And so they're going to be essentially test subjects in a giant, not just mind control experiment, but ritual offering. So I likened this actually to Dave McGowan's Program to Kill book, where he discusses the history of serial killers and many of them being connected to high-level government agencies, many of them perhaps being hitmen, and connecting back to perhaps the Phoenix program. So I also like movies where we have the theme of the synthetic environment, the completely controlled and surveilled prison environment that you can never escape from, which is not just Platonic, Allegory of the Cave, Gnostic stuff, but it's also, if you watch The Prisoner, one of the best TV shows of all time, this was, of course, the theme of The Prisoner. I've done many analyses and articles on The Prisoner, so you can go read that. But it's the same in Westworld, The Matrix, Maze Runner, similar types of thing. The Giver. It's all the same theme of completely controlled synthetic environments. Hunger Games, remember the games, the whole environment's created, fake, synthetic. And it's always run by a shadowy supra agency, and that's what we have here, right? So these movie themes are typically, again, Gnostic, because the idea is that you have to escape this world that's run by this evil demon. And I don't think it's accidental. It's the director of Hardware said that basically all of Hollywood is a Gnostic empire. because if you don't have, for example, the Christian paradigm, by default, you always have the Gnostic paradigm in some form. Just always. It's like it always defaults to that. Like 95.9% of the time it defaults to that. And it's no different here, where the creator God is basically kind of like this far off unknown thing who is basically upstaged by this tyrant deity that has to be placated, right? That's the old one, the Titan in this, that has to be placated by the human sacrifice. But here you go. So secret government agencies believe in human sacrifice. Where have we heard this before, right? I mean, I read this like the ancient ones, the Book of Enoch, the fallen ones, right? I mentioned some of the other scandals that have come out, obviously, about the elites. I mentioned in my analysis, Jean Baudel Bokassa, the emperor of South Africa, the famous emperor, declared himself emperor and just started eating people. This guy was insane. But you notice that a lot of the elites, elite eats, right? So anyway, you get the idea. But
do you remember they keep all of the monsters down there to use?
Oh, right. It's like they have the ability to send out the demons, like as needed.
Yeah.
Right? So that they're like ritual magicians, basically. They can conjure up, the demon as is needed. But nobody makes it out of this, right? So this is an uber horror, because
apocalyptic.
Nobody survives, and of course the Titan comes back. Even though he's been placated, he still comes back, right?
No, he didn't. They didn't get the last sacrifice.
Oh, who was it?
It was the pothead and the virgin.
I thought they all died.
No.
Okay, I forgot.
They didn't. If he would have sacrificed himself, the world would have gone on, but he wouldn't.
Oh, because he liked her, right?
Yeah.
I see.
And so the whole world died.
I gotcha. So there you go. That's Cabin in the Woods. A decent satire. A little gross. It's got some pretty yucky scenes. Now we're going to move to the new It. And we're going to close it out with that. I'm going to go to the little boys'
Do your
room.
Pennywise first.
The little boys' room.
Do it.
What's he say?
He does it so good.
Yeah. Why, Jamie, would you like me to give you a balloon?
Yeah.
Oh.
Pop, 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 pop.
Yeah, Pennywise is a little bit on the spectrum. Got a little bit of that tism, a little bit of that slow boy in him.
Yeah. All right, go to the bathroom.
And his eyes go like this. Right.
Okay, we're going to talk about candy, and I'm going to read the chat. There's, Laffy Taffy. Remember that? That was really good. Let's think of some other candies. I used to go, when I was allowed to leave the house by myself for the first time, I would walk 1 block to 7-Eleven, and I would get a Coke Slurpee and cherry Slurpee, half and half. This is so gross. But I would get half Coke flavor, half cherry flavor. And I'd drink that walking around, and I'd like peruse the candy aisle, because candy is like crack for children. That's why they're all out there getting their fix right now, trick-or-treating. My favorite was Snickers. Someone said Candy Jones. Yeah. I'm a chocoholic. Someone said the best is the little Reese's Pieces frozen. So they're so good. Oh, he's back. No more candy talk.
All right, so It 2018. And we're going to shout out to Eddie, because I had an hour-long DM debate with Eddie from It. Literally, the Eddie from It. We had a fun DM exchange.
What's his real name?
James Ranson. And anyway, sending him the book, so I think he will like the book.
Are you a Twizzlers or Red Vines? Team Twizzlers or Team Red Vines?
I don't need candy anymore.
But back in the day,
I'm off of Team Candy.
I know,
dude.
when we were bad.
I've excommunicated candy.
What licorice did you prefer?
Red.
Red Vines, yes. Twizzlers are too waxy, right?
Does anybody like the black licorice? Only
I do.
Really weird people.
I like the Good and Plenty. I liked those. You know what I would do? I would bite the end off of a red vine and use it as a straw to drink Coke. Put it right in the Pepsi.
You're acting like that's
gross.
weird. That's what all kids do that.
That is so gross and bad.
Like you invented that. Whoa.
I thought I did.
No, you didn't think that. 1988. This is not. No, we're not doing the 88 one. The old one was stupid. You had a few notes.
The best line in that is, "This is battery acid slime," and he sprays his inhaler in its face, and Tim Curry's face starts.
I like that they had John Ritter from Three's Company. That was funny.
Yeah. The guy that played Richie was like a Dave Coulier level.
Yes. Cut it out.
Yeah.
Stop reading the chat. Don't read the chat. Don't. Where are we at? Look, over here.
Yeah.
What? So you took notes on the old one. What does this mean?
Well, okay. There's It the book, It the old movie, and It the new movie. It the book is really gross and really bad.
Yeah, I haven't read it.
A lot of stuff in there. So apparently it is an ancient cosmic demon that was made at the beginning of time, and he is the antithesis to the good turtle that holds up the world from the Native American myth. Like, Stephen King has this whole cosmology that he made up, right? It's really dumb.
From Native American stuff.
Some of it's Native American, some of it's just like crap he made up out of his own darkness of his soul. But it came as a meteorite and crashed into the earth way back in the ancient days. So it's an ancient...
Aliens are fallen.
Yes, it's an
Lucifer,
alien fallen angel
right,
that eats children that are scared.
And it tastes better when they're afraid. So this is like Dr. Sleep with the... Yes. It is an alien. It's the Deadlights. By the way, there's 3 of them. My reading of this is that it's a Gnostic version of an anti-Trinitarian type of treatise, right? It's 3 lights, and it's a ravager of worlds. It's like Kronos. It eats people, right? Saturn. What does this mean? An ancient alien known as...
Okay, in the old movie, in the 90s movie, its form on Earth was a giant spider. But it's also known as a glamour because it can shapeshift.
A glamour shot?
Yes.
What is a glamour?
It's a type of demon, according to Stephen King. Ones that can change their appearance and glamour you.
And what is this?
The ritual of Chud is what they had to do in the new movie and the book. That when they're holding hands and they're saying, "Let light into darkness." Remember that? That was pretty telling because you've got the Trinity of lights, and there's chanting.
They're saying, "Turn it into darkness."
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's kind of an inversion of a prayer.
Absolutely. Yeah. Right. Is that everything in the old one?
No, because it is also has to do with sexual traumas because all of these kids also have this kind of sexual trauma.
Well, one of them does. Or you mean in the book?
Yeah, in the book.
Okay. In the movie, the girl does.
And the girl has to actually sleep with all of the boys.
I remember this because everybody was talking about it on Twitter because Stephen King was fussing about Donald Trump saying a bad word.
Yeah.
And people were like, "Dude, you put underage
Child
stuff.
Gang
You
Gang.
put that in."
I can't say that.
You put that in your nasty book, dude.
Yeah.
So in the new it takes place in 1988. There's sewers, underworld. There's the red balloons. We don't know what's going on yet, but we know that like you said, there's trauma that's occurred in everybody's life when they were young. There's the black dude's got to kill the sheep at the farm. Bill's trauma is Georgie's death. Beverly's trauma is the bullies at school and her dad, who is a abuser.
All the dads are kind of buttholes.
Or a couple of the kids' dads are dead. So there's a scene where they're talking about, my dad died and my dad died too. But the rest of the dads are total traumatic assholes.
Pennywise seems to be attracted to
the kids with
trauma.
Because they taste better.
Yeah. The Kabbalistic hexagram is visible, by the way, in one scene. In the synagogue scene when the old woman shows up. That's interesting. The old woman demon, which we don't know yet, but eventually we realize that's Pennywise too.
The other sexual trauma was that one of the kids was gay and he didn't want to come out.
Right. The Bill Hader character, what's his name? Not Eddie. The other
Richie.
One. Richie.
Yeah.
Then we get the chunky dude who's new to the town. And Eddie, by the way, his mom is a control freak, hypochondriac, Munchausen type of thing. Mm-hmm. And then we got the fat dude who is lonely and he just hangs out in the library and he learns the town's dark history.
Right. So this It thing had been coming back every 30 years to feed since like ancient times, or at least their records go back to the 1700s. And the town was like this beaver trapping town until it came and ate everybody, and it was like a disappearing.
Well, to do it, you got to
like
trap. You do have to trap the beaver to do it. Mm. Get it?
Good point.
That was an uncle joke.
Yeah, dirty uncle joke.
That was a Doral.
There's dad jokes, and then there's dirty uncle.
That was an uncle joke. Yeah. Smoking a Doral in the corner.
What the chunky kid's trauma is being fat and being bullied.
Being bullied, right?
Yeah, and his dad died, and he had to move there and live with an aunt or something.
And this, by the way, Pennywise's symbol is an inverted triangle.
Yeah. And
so that's this evil trinity, right? I think. Mm-hmm. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. They use it a lot.
Yeah. If you follow, by the way, something I noticed this time through that I didn't watch. Or I didn't notice when it came out in the theater was, did you notice that the TV show that they're watching is a clown show? It's like Bozo, but it's got it on it.
Oh, really?
Everybody in the town has this show on, and it's a clown show. And and you can listen faintly in the background. There's a clown is on the TV going, "Follow the sewers, and you'll find your friends."
Well, there's scenes.
So the TV's actually telling people what's going on.
Yeah. There's scenes in the new one that tell you that the whole town is possessed at times. Or they're frozen.
There is?
Yeah.
Remind me, I don't remember this.
Like that scene where the big Paul Bunyan is chasing Bill Hader.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and everybody's just standing there.
Everyone's frozen and watching. So they make it known in both movies that the adults can't see what's happening.
Well, and by the way, didn't Dyer, the entire settlement of people, disappear? Yeah.
So this town is like
cursed.
It's a hellmouth, basically. And then there's that scene with the girl. This is in both movies. The blood coming out of the is her cycle.
Time.
Yeah.
Her moon time.
Yeah, because
her lady's moon time.
A hairy, bloody hole in the drain.
I know. I never noticed that either until this time. And that reminds her of her trauma.
Right, and she has to live with her single dad.
Right.
And she can't talk to him about that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Because he's a molester. Mm-hmm.
So the spirit feeds on fear, which is often the case that we see this going on, feeding on the fear that's present in Chrome type stuff. Mm-hmm. What did I say? Oh, wait, Batman Lethal Weapon. What does this have to do with it? What did I write that down? Nightmare on Elm Street. Oh, the movies that are on when they're all hanging out. I just thought that was interesting that it's 1988. So at the movie theater, it's Batman, Nightmare on Elm Street 5, and Lethal Weapon. Yeah. I didn't realize either that we all float down here. The balloons are like the souls that he collects, and they float in his prison. Mm-hmm. They're trapped in his little dungeon lair down there. So he's the demiurge. He's the Gnostic view of the false god, right? And when you look into him, you turn into this saintly pose. You get into this rapture vision, and that's another reason I think it's an inversion of the Trinity, is that when anyone looks into or sees God, they turn into this sort of
catatonic thing.
this raptured saintly zombie character.
And all the children are floating like saints. Or didn't you say that looked like a painting?
Yeah, it looks like Gustave Doré's picture of the throne of God from Dante.
Yeah.
With them all going around in a circle.
And so, yeah, I thought it was interesting that the three lights, instead of the life-giving Trinity, they call it the dead lights, right?
Right, so it's a Luciferian satanic version of.
So they have to kill the Archon god.
Okay, so we moved to It 2, and this is a couple years. The movie came out a couple years later, 2017 or 2019.
I thought It 2, the new It 2 was good. Like, it was funny. It was creepy. I thought everybody played their character. This is the one with the guy that you talked to, right?
Yeah, Eddie.
Yeah, they all did really good in that.
I enjoyed it. I think that it wasn't the movie most people expected. I think they thought it was going to be a horror movie. And it was, I mean, kind of was. But it was more of a comedy, which I think is what threw people for a loop. They thought, because the first one, I don't remember any laughs. And this one, you've got Bill Hader and Eddie basically constantly having the comedic banter back and forth. So anyway, but so the town, 27 years later, the trauma returns. The black dude is a conspiracy theorist now, and he's basically figured out the whole deal, sort of. I can't read my notes. So one of the characters commits suicide because he's too afraid to face the trauma again. Right?
The Jewish guy.
Yeah, he got too scared. What is this? Puzzle pieces. Oh, there's some interesting cinematography in some of these sequences, which I appreciated. The bully is interesting because we revisit the character of the bully, and he's now fully possessed by it. It empowers this guy basically to have superhuman strength, which is interesting. So he can be stabbed, he can like jump out of a window. Doesn't phase this dude. Still got his mullet. Still running buck wild. Oh, and by the way, guess what's on the TV screen at the mental ward?
It's always cartoons.
Cartoons.
It's always cartoons.
Maybe people wouldn't go crazy at the mental ward if you didn't make them watch freaking Hanna-Barbera all day long.
I
dude.
don't think they call them Looney Tunes for no reason.
Well, it has to be like, why are they always watching? Every mental ward ever in every movie has got cartoons going.
Yeah.
And it's always like, you know, Wile E. Coyote banging his head like 20 times. And anyway, so the black dude's got an old leather Kool-Aid jug. He got him an old sipping jug, right? And it's an old Indian
The basket.
sipping jug.
Yeah.
It's like a genie bottle.
Yeah. It's what they have to put all their tokens in. Remember?
This part I didn't understand.
What?
How did he come up with this? The Indians told him this? This whole
The
ritual?
drugs. Remember?
How did he come up with how to do this ritual? By doing ayahuasca?
I think he did the drugs and he stared at the basket and he saw the whole story of it
I
coming
know
to
that,
Earth.
but how does he learn this goofy ritual that he makes
I
up?
don't know.
Okay. The ritual of truth? So he just makes up something. It's called the ritual of truth.
And
Well, basically it's a
also called
ghost
the
trap.
Chud.
It's a ghost trap. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So this sipping jug is also a ghost trap. And of course it appears to everybody as their trauma, right? Every time you go into deeper layers, this is interesting. Did you notice they go deeper and deeper? Like they go into the sewers, then they go into the underground and they go into the underground.
In the new movie...
It's because it's repressed memories.
Oh, good point. Because in the new movie, it's a house. Which is
Another
stands for the
image
psyche.
of the psyche, right?
Yeah.
And they have to go down to the basement.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mentioned that. Here we have the explanation, as you said, of the mythology, that it is actually a fallen angel, right? Mm-hmm. It fell from the sky at some point to this planet. It's like Lucifer, except it's the Gnostic inversion, where it's the triune God, which is blasphemous, but... what?
Your hair is winter fire.
I know. I wept when I heard this poem.
January embers.
Somebody tell that fat kid that that poem's not going to get him anywhere with a chick. What's his true form? A spider?
Yeah.
That's dumb. And they're going to try to put him in a ghost trap, and then he's a balloon. The balloon comes out of the ghost trap.
Mm-hmm. Well, and then they have to go face their traumas again as adults. Remember when the balloon pops and
yes.
they all get separated?
That's right. And then they have to confront the traumas again.
Yes.
So basically this is a higher production value Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Why is it a giant red balloon? Do we know? What do you think the significance of that is?
I have no idea.
I mean, red's blood, but...
Yeah.
Mars, I don't know. They chant, turn light into dark, turn light into dark, which is dumb.
Mm-hmm.
Confront your trauma. And then the worst part of the movie, which a lot of the movie I like, but the worst part of the movie, the thing I don't like, is that the way that you beat this entity is to make fun of it, to shout it down. Hurt his feelings.
Yeah. This whole time, all they
Make
had to
him
do
small.
was make fun of him. You're stupid. I hate you. What do they tell him?
They say a bunch of dumb kid stuff.
Yeah.
You're a fart head. You're a booty breath. Right? It's dumb.
You're nothing.
Yeah, and so they basically turn him into this little gingerbread. He looks like a little gingerbread man. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And then they just pull his heart out like Kalima. Mm-hmm. They pull his heart out?
That I did not expect.
Why does the alien have a heart? Why?
And he's like, no,
He's a demon. Why does he have a heart?
I'm the eater of worlds. You can't be mean to me.
And then they go and baptize themselves in the springs. Mm-hmm. A sort of baptism at the end.
I don't know about in the book, but I don't believe that Eddie dies in the old movie. But he did in this one. So I'm not sure.
Okay. Let's read these super chats. We got a few here. Before everybody throws a super chat in at the end. Dangerfield Hindley at the end of the show last time said for $7, J. Dyer, will you please do a Sean Connery, since Sean Connery has passed away, rest in peace. Would you please do a Sean Connery since he's passed away? Jamie, would you do the Sean since he's passed away?
Sean Connery likes to eat biscuits.
Okay. But thank you for that.
Can I read him?
Sure. SkeleDoot.
SkeleDoot. That whole intro bit of yours started to remind me of SkyCorp's skits. LMAO. Whole 90s parody shtick. PaulAubert has donated $10. I got a few minutes since the kids are asleep. Thanks.
We'll crank this up. Full volume. Turn the bass up. Bass!
Okay, go.
And wake them kids up. NanoNerd, $10. Happy Spooktober, Jay and Jamie. Will you review Trick or Treat? I've never seen it. I mean, I know it's like a cheesy horror movie, right? What do you think about haunted house attractions? I've never been to one. Have you been? You've probably been to Halloween horror at Universal Studios.
I used to love going to Knott's Scary Farm.
Never been.
I probably wouldn't anymore because my soul doesn't like that stuff anymore. But when I was young, that was one of my favorite things to do. And every year we would go to Knott's Scary Farm.
A lot of these horror, like, these chainsaw massacre house, like, they've gotten really gross and out there with these haunted house places.
I was an adult.
Come and experience what it's like to be ground up by a chainsaw. Yeah, dude.
Do you remember that one haunted house where you have to like sign a waiver?
Yeah, we talked
and
about
get
it
a doctor's note.
Yeah,
that
we
you're not
talked
gonna
about
have
it
a
on the
heart
show.
attack. That's pretty.
That's too much, dude.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Extreme.
Social Observer, $5. Brundlefly. Dude, have you broken down Donnie Darko? Actually, that was one of the first analyses at Jay's Analysis. You can go watch this hideous video of me 10 years ago where I'm chunky and smoking cigarettes and talking about Donnie Darko. But it's, I need to redo it, right? Because that was like one of the first analyses. But you can go watch my cringe 10-year-old video.
Rap Donnie Darko, yeah.
But yeah, I think Donnie Darko is a great movie, so I need to revisit that. But thank you for that, Social Observer. Brundlefly himself.
We got Jeff Goldblum in the chat.
For $3, you should consult on movies for New Hollywood. Go and tell them that I should. I shouldn't just consult. I should be in them and I should be making them, dude. Like Orson Welles or something. But thank you for that, Brundlefly. Old Jeff Goldblum himself sending us 3 of them gold bucks. F books, using the F word. Christianity is for the sheep. Prove me wrong in 17 words exactly. Well, since that is, I'm going to capitulate to you. I'm now an atheist. You've won me over. A good argument, bro, but thank you for those $3. Albino Draco, $3. Say my name, Alpha Draconis. They're going to clip that and say that I'm part of some draconian. Remember there was no, that was before I knew you. There used to be a guy who would take my articles, this was like 5 years ago, and he would read every essay that I wrote and make, his video would be him reading my essay, presenting it like it was his video and his article. And he would never say my name. And then he would make videos talking about how I was a draconian. I was from the Star Draco.
Remember when they were saying you were like Ted Turner's grandson?
Yes.
What?
Those are some of the... I miss those days
classic.
when the haters would make creative, attempts to, portray me as Ted
One
Turner.
guy has like a 23-part video series debunking you. Like, it's insane.
Where are we at?
Social Observer.
No, yeah. Social Observer, $3. The sun is the portal that we must escape. Son of God. Right, yeah, that's solid argument there. So, yeah, anytime that you hear a word, right, it's the exact same meaning. If you talk about a kid, it's a goat, and it's a son of a person. It always means the exact same thing every time. Jethro, $10. It's a sad day for Bond fans, Jay Dyer. I wonder if they shot Sir Michael Caine. Could Sir Michael Caine make an appearance for old Sean? Sean was a bloody fool. Go watch his video on the way that he would approach women that disagree with him. That's a funny video.
We need to
And
watch.
Sir Nick Cage. Yeah, I like Sean. Sean was a cinema verite.
Right, Nicolas Cage always says the same stuff when he's in interviews. Like, yeah, cinema verite. He loves that phrase.
We need to watch Man Who Would Be King because I've never seen it.
It's a Masonic movie. It's like the most Masonic movie.
Yeah.
But thank you for that, Jethro, $10. Janie Sophia, $10. Sorry, orange slices are delicious.
Yeah, they are.
No, they're not.
Remember?
They're just sugar with sugar on top.
Remember
Sugar-coated sugar, dude. That's
Mike
not good.
and
That's
Ike's?
gross. I don't eat that stuff, dude.
What other candies?
I don't know. I don't. Screw
I know
candy,
you
dude.
hate candy.
Screw candy.
We
to
don't
heck.
eat candy.
Screw
in the
candy
house.
to heck, dude.
I have to hide the gummy bears in the garage and eat 10 a day.
I ration the gummy bears. There's a chart.
Gummy
There's a
bears
chart.
hidden, and there's like Biscoff Lotus cookies hidden somewhere in the house.
All right, thank you, everybody. That was a fun Spooktober stream, and I'm sure we'll be back with more soon. And I hope you guys enjoyed the Arnold stream. That was a lot of fun too. I was going wild. I was buck wild on that Arnold stream. Go watch the Arnold stream if you missed it. And everybody, remember that the harrowing of Hades has occurred, so Hades no longer is a thing to fear.